Yep. Take something from Alicia, take something from Pettengill, take something from Schwartz, take something from your next instructor, and then take something from Gunsight and something from SIG Academy, and then make it your way.
Hey, if you own a gun in California, you should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. And if you ever have a legal matter that involves firearms, you need California's firearm lawyer, John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150.
Awesome. So our first guest is Mike Pettengill from Personal Protection Academy. We've had you on before, and you were so interesting and fun to talk to that we are having you on again. And today you're here to talk about, well, tell everybody what you're here to talk about.
So what we did is, Personal Protection Academy, we do a lot of what Alicia does in San Diego, but also up in Riverside, CCW training and personal lessons and classes and so on and so forth. And we came up with a test. So here's what happens. Alicia's it's gonna be perfect for radio. She's gonna nod and say 20 times. What we see a lot at the range is you see folks who stand flat-footed and they shoot with a great isosceles stance at stationary targets and they don't alter a lot of stuff. And so what we tried to do is come up with a test, an evaluation that says, where are you right now as a shooter? Where do you want to go? And where are you deficient? And so we came up with this. We made a special target, designed a target, had it printed out. Got about 3,000 of them sitting in our garage. And what we do is we run the test, and the test is 10 drills. Some of them we invented. Most of them we did a little R&D, rob and duplicate from people smarter than us. And we have people doing timed, untimed, analysis of their shooting from the holster, from the low ready, you name it. We do a little bit to try to help people figure out where they are and where they need to go.
This target is amazing. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a silhouette, it looks like an IDPA style silhouette,
as if it was robbed directly from that.
And then you have a little bullseye off to the right.
Someone might recognize that as a B8 target, just to the right of the head of the IPSC target.
And then you have a bunch of triangles and squares and circles,
and colors and
numbers and colors
and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Oh my! All right. Well, let's talk about it. First, how do you want to present this? What's the best way to kind of explain this?
Well, Alicia, talk to me about what do you see the typical shooter do at the range? What does an average dude do who shoots a couple times?
How it's going to look on the target?
No, just what do they do to practice? What do they do to get better, quote unquote?
What do they do to get better? They throw ammo downrange and they pepper the paper.
Yeah, and
they muzzle somebody,
muzzle someone, have a couple negligent discharges, laugh about it.
Yeah, dump a mag, and then
And what I see a lot of times is folks come into the range with 500 rounds and they're exhausted and sweaty and they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Maybe taking shots at steel at 45 yards as if that's relevant to anything we're going to do.
Right.
And what we decided on this is how can we take any shooter at any level, beginner, super advanced, and help them analyze where they're deficient in their shooting, and then be able to really quickly give them a couple of very practical drills and skills on how to improve in those areas. So this is a test. We run the class. It takes 2 hours. But it doesn't have to be done with us. We actually we have the targets are for sale online at a relatively cheap price. The curriculum and the test are free on our website. It's not something where we want to say, listen, you got to do it through us. You got to pay us $500 every time you do it. That's not it. What we want to do is we want to make this accessible to people so that they can, anywhere they want to be, they can analyze how they're shooting and how they can get better.
I'm kind of glossing through this, and I like that you have you have a good mix on the drills. You have some are going to be from like a compressed ready, some are from a holster. There's a good mix of like point shooting, presentation shooting, like speed and accuracy. I'm kind of seeing a blend.
Yeah, and it's really you can take a tactical shooter and they're going to be great at 4 of these. You can take a
Right.
competition shooter and they're going to be good at 4 of these, but you got to be a well-rounded shooter to be a good defensive shooter. And so what we do is literally, if you go onto our website, which is handgunaptitudetest.com, you can take a look at the target, and what you'll see is literally you shoot to the center mass, you shoot to the eye box. Some of it's for speed. We stand behind you with a timer, and we add you that little stress of time. And some of it is shooting at a 1x1 square. It's some of it is just, I got students that have come, well, that's absolutely impossible. Like, well, you know what? The guy who did it last time did just fine. So how do we get you to there? And it doesn't matter if you say, well, I can't draw from the holster. I haven't done that yet. Not a problem. We give you the opportunity to start the test completely from the low ready. And you say, well, I'm great up close with rapid fire, but I can't do distance. Okay, good. You're going to have a difficulty on that part of the test. Let's tell you how you improve in those areas.
Well, until you assess where your deficits are, how are you going to know where to work?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to kind of find those holes.
Exactly. And that's what makes it really neat is I've had people, so the test is really, it looks kind of complicated. It's 7 pages long, but when you get into it, it's pretty simple. It's a hole on paper is 1 point. The maximum number of points you can have is 100. And so you get bonuses for going faster. You don't get deficits for anything. And I've had people come in and they've gotten a 48 out of 100. And they're like, that's great. I'm really excited. And they come back and do it 2 weeks later and they've practiced a couple things. Like, I got 52 this time. I did 52. And it gives you something to shoot for, something to strive for. And I've given this out to a lot of other instructors and let them play with it. And they say that kind of universally, no, it doesn't matter where you are as a shooter. It gives you something positive to work with.
So so it boils it down to a 1 out of 100?
Yeah, so the maximum score is 100, and it's basically, except for I have a couple of long distance shots that are to the eye. They go out to 15 yards, and it's to the eye box, and those are 2 points each. But everything else is 1 hole in the paper, 1 round in the paper gives you 1 point, and it tells you exactly where you are. If you want to compare yourself to your buddy, great. If you want to compare yourself to the best person who's done the test yet, great. If you want to compare how you did a month ago, let's do that too.
Wow. And it's timed?
So parts of it are timed and parts of it are untimed. And that's a part of it, is that it's not all high stress from the holster. And I tell actually probably a majority of the students that I take through the test is I tell them, listen, you get bonus points for going fast, but you don't get points for not putting rounds on target. So the first time you do it, ignore the clock. Just forget the bonus points for going fast and just hit the target. That's what matters. Interesting.
So is it if you miss? So can you get 100 holes and under time?
It ends up being 79 holes. You take 79 shots for the test, and then your bonuses you get 21 bonus points for speed.
Oh wow! And if you miss, but can you make up a shot?
No. It's you. If you take 5 shots and you get 4 holes, you got 4 points.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome, man. So and now it's like, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now you have like an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, exactly. And I've taken frankly I R&D'd this, robbed and duplicated this from so many other instructors, and I've taken so many other instructors' tests, and it's like, okay, in this section you multiply it times 2 and then divide it by 3.75, and then if the sun is in this position, you add an extra 5 points. And I just wanted to make it simple. I wanted everyone to be able to figure this out.
That's cool, man. That's very cool.
Yeah, and I want people to be able to do this without me and Alicia, to be able to get a couple targets and then figure it out on their own.
So what's your typical score?
So I haven't hit 100 yet.
That was going to be my question.
I did hit 97 once.
Oh, congratulations.
So, but I didn't hit 100.
Has anybody hit 100?
Nobody's hit 100 yet.
Wow.
So
challenge.
Yeah, my wife's got the highest female score so far.
Ooh. What was hers?
91.
Wow. That's awesome.
I'm tempted to come up there to Wildemar and see you.
Alicia's going to get the
Let's try.
next highest female score. But that's another thing, too, is you don't have to do it with us.
Well, I want to, though.
You can. I'd love to have you. I'll have you anytime. But what it allows people to do is you don't have to pay me a couple bucks to do this. You can order a couple targets, get the free curriculum, and take it wherever and whenever you want to do it.
And then I'm looking at the scorecard. You can go back. So each of these, there are 10 tests, and you can go back and see, all right, test whatever. Test number 3 and number 6, that's where I really messed up. That's where and you can look back and like, well, test 3 is testing whatever.
Yeah, and I've had a couple. Let's say Alicia wants to adopt this as one of her things. I've had a couple of other instructors take it. I love this. I want to take it. What do I pay you? Nothing. Just do it. Have fun with it. And so Alicia looks at it and she says, "Hey, any instructor is going to be able to analyze this really well. Hey, you did really good here. Where you had problems with was your malfunctions, your reloads, and your holster draw. So here's the things that I want you to work on between now and when we see each other a month from now, and we'll analyze those things." It gives a section for the instructor to write notes. You need help in this area. You're deficient in this area, but your score is going to tell you that as well. And any good instructor is going to be able to look at this and say, "Yeah, I can see where you need help, and we'll work with you on that."
That's awesome. How long have you been doing this?
We started this about 8 months ago. Started working on the targets about a year ago, and been rolling it out ever since. And had a lot of instructors take it and kind of be guinea pigs with it, and they liked it.
Did you have to go through different iterations? You pretty much nail it right off the top.
Nailed the target right off the top. I've adjusted the test itself a couple times, and so you'll see in the bottom of the test itself it says versions July 18th, 2023 or something like that. There's been about 7 versions of the test that I've tweaked a couple things.
It's a pretty fun. This looks fun too.
Well, I love that you have, like you mentioned, you have a grading rubric in there. So, like you said, anybody can go online and get this, and they can apply it. And I love that you can. If you want to make it fun and compete with someone else, great. But you can also just that which gets they say that which gets measured gets worked upon. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of see your growth, because sometimes that growth is hard to see. When it's gradual, we don't notice it and we can get discouraged. But you have a measurable way to kind of visibly see your growth and your improvement. And I think that's really beneficial.
Yeah. What I've seen a lot of people that have come to me after shooting for 4 or 5 years, and they just kind of get bored with shooting holes in targets from 15 yards away and just gets the same old thing. And you have no way of measuring yourself, like you said.
Hey, if you listen to Gun Owners Radio, you know I feel about current government and financial system. So it's no secret I'm a big believer in diversifying your money with precious metals like gold and silver. But when it comes to buying precious metal, you need the right company in your corner. That's why we're partnered with the top-rated precision metal company, Goldco, because reputation matters. Goldco is a 6-time Inc. 5000 winner, 2022 Company of the Year, and they've helped folks like you and me place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And right now, they're offering Gun Owner Radio supporters up to $10,000 in bonus silver when opening a qualified IRA account. This is your opportunity to protect yourself from out-of-control, corrupt government. Don't pass it up. Grab your phone today and give Goldco a call. Take action today so you don't regret it tomorrow. Give Goldco a call at 855-612-6354. That's 855-612-6354. And tell them you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio.
All right, we're talking to Mike Pettengill from Personal Protection Academy. He's down here from Wildemar talking about his aptitude test that he came up with. But first, I want to ask you, who was Clinton Keith?
That's a good question.
I know, right?
Yeah, where Mike's going with this, that's the street of which our business is on, and I have no clue.
I don't know who Clinton Keith. It sounds like a country music guy.
I feel like within seconds, if we stall long enough, Alicia is going to have the answer.
All right, Alicia will come back to us with exactly who is Clinton Keith. So, okay, you came up with this aptitude test. I think it's really, really awesome. Are you familiar with the FBI's test?
Yeah, it's a good test.
And what did that not have that made you come up with this test?
So here's what I have here's what I did. Not just the FBI test, but you name the shooting test. I've done it. If it's on the interwebs, I've done it. And I love to analyze it. And it's not that this is the gold standard of tests, but it was like every test that I've ever taken doesn't cover as much as I think it needs to cover for a good defensive shooter, right?
Which is what? Talk about that.
Well, a little bit of everything. You've got to have marksmanship, okay? If you've got to take a hostage shot, you've got to be able to hit an eye box at 15 yards. If you have malfunctions, you've got to do that quick and get back in the fight. If you need emergency reloads, you've got to do that and get back in the fight. But also, can you come from your holster quickly? Can you identify multiple targets that don't have a pattern? And so that's what we're doing here. Is what we're trying to do is say, let's find something that tests every aspect of what you would need as a defensive shooter.
So this test also tests malfunction clearances and reloads?
Yeah, for sure. So you have a section that you have to do type 1 malfunction for time, type 2 malfunction for time, type 3 malfunction for time. You also have a section where you have to do emergency reload for time, tactical reload for time. Then it's going to give you a lot of areas that a lot of shooters have just never played with.
That's cool. And then once you have this, you basically analyze, all right, here's where you're lacking. Let's work on this.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Having fun with it.
I think that takes a very motivated and analytical instructor to not just come up with a test, but come up with such a functional and purposeful test.
Yeah, my wife is the brains, the beauty, and pretty much anything good about our business. But I'm a very arithmetic kind of guy. Please don't read that as I'm good at math. I just think very linearly, and it's like, what can we chart in my ability? How can we give my ability a mathematical score, and then what can we say about that score?
So you like spreadsheets. You're the kind of guy.
Oh, man.
There it is, right there, in the sweet spot.
Pie charts. Me and Kamala Harris, Venn diagrams. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you good with spreadsheets? Because I may have just I might abuse our relationship if you say yes.
Yes, sadly I am. I love that stuff.
All right, I bet you just open yourself up to many calls of, hey man, how does this one formula work?
It's all Control C, Control V. Come on.
That's awesome. That's very cool. How do you personally teach malfunctions or malfunction clearances? Do you do it the front sight way, or do you have something different?
There's not a lot of variations you can do. I was an instructor out at Front Sight for a while, and had a big boy membership given to me by my father-in-law almost 20 years ago, and so a lot of this is influenced by Front Sight. But when it comes to fixing your malfunctions, a lot of it comes down to tap rack flip, and just move on. And I deviated. If you're familiar with the Front Sight way, I deviated on type 3s pretty aggressively, and kind of went a little bit more towards the NRA way. If you know that, it's
what's the difference? I don't
know. Shoving your magazine under your armpit is the NRA way, and it makes it smell great. And but it's, as opposed to dropping your mag and seeing if you have another mag, why don't you just retain your mag? And then the way I used to retain my mag at Front Sight was I put it in my pinky. Well, not everybody's got monster hands like I do, and so when I am working with students, I encourage them just put it in your armpit. Put it in if you're right-handed, put it in your right armpit.
I have another question along that line.
Oh.
Malfunctions or stoppages? What's the terminology that you prefer?
Malfunction.
All right.
Why? Why ask that? Interesting question.
So some people kind of get a burr about that.
Sure.
That malfunction, actually, technically, if you kind of look at the definition, a malfunction is technically going to be some type of mechanical failure of the gun, whether it be like a spring pop or or something mechanically incorrect, and that what we think of as malfunctions, like a failure to feed, all those things, those are in these people's minds is a stoppage.
So really,
and so it comes down to semantics.
That?
What's that? Yeah, some people do. I was just curious.
We are so good at making mountains out of molehills.
Yeah, that's that. And you know why? That's because 9mm is better than 45.
Actually, you got to start with
Actually,
Oh, God.
yeah. We do a lot. Our business does a lot with social media, and here's the formula. Happy to put it out there. Ask a stupid question that gun guys will fight over, and they come back to your TikToks and your Instagrams and your Reels over and over and over again.
Pedantic. I think that's the term.
Yeah.
Pedantic. We are the most pedantic people.
Yeah.
Anyway, the type 3, the only thing I didn't like about the way they taught it is I felt like they should have, they had 12 steps or something like that.
Check, lock, strip, rack, insert, rack.
And I believe that sounds close. I
might
felt,
be right.
I felt that they should have broken it down into three steps with steps inside the steps, because they were asking people to memorize the whole thing, and I felt like you should have look, it should be broken down into analyze, and then get it out, get the malfunction cleared, and then reload the gun. And then within those steps, there are steps to do each of those. But I would get lost in 14 steps or however.
Kind of think of almost like you can kind of frame the big picture.
Yeah.
With the bigger concept, and then from there, the baby steps are easier to.
Yeah, I felt it was more thoughtful.
Pieces of the pie.
Yeah. There you go. But other than that, I mean, the actual function. And I think I always stuck mine under my arm too, because it just. No, I like the smell. I'm going to be honest with you. No, it just was easier. I mean, so as opposed to, I have short fingers, so trying to hold on to a mag and blah blah blah, I just stick it under my arm.
Yeah, frankly, you put it in your mouth. Who cares? I mean, other than the whole lead thing, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the one of the things that I talk to people about, and this is going to be another one. Isosceles or Weaver. And what I tell my students is, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whatever you don't do, don't grab onto somebody's way, the way, and become so ingrained in that when the dookie hits the fan, that you're wait, where should my feet be? How should my hands be? So just shoot the gun.
You know what I find? I don't know if you're going to like this or not. I give people 2 rules. One is I want your feet to have some type of base. So, take that shoulder width base, make it what you want. Isosceles Weaver, I don't care, but you need to have a base to your feet. And from there, I like your upper body forward of center. Don't do that butt suck and lean the upper body back. Lean into it.
Yeah.
And I kind of let people, encourage them, make it your own. But I try to give that framework.
Yeah, I describe it to my students as a toolbox.
Yep.
Take something from Alicia, take something from Pettengill, take something from Schwartz, take something from your next instructor, and then take something from Gunsight and something from SIG Academy, and then make it your way. Mm-hmm. Don't become a devotee of some instructor. I tell my students, please don't just come to me. Go to someone else.
Oh yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. Everybody listening, the first 5 people who go to the website. What's the website?
HandgunAptitudeTest.com.
HandgunAptitudeTest.com. Now, the first thing you have to do is know how to
Spell
spell
it
aptitude. That's the first test in this test. Go there, download this, take the test, and the first 5 people who email Gun Owners Radio or San Diego County Gunner, you just get us your score sheet, scan it, and send us your score sheet. We'll give you a shirt. We'll give you a shirt and some stickers, because I think this is great. I want to get people doing this. That's a good idea, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. And here's what we do is Handgun Aptitude Test. Mm-hmm. Acronym is, of course, is HAT. No. And for people who get above a certain score, we give them a hat that says HAT on it. We're pretty excited about that. Well, okay, let's be serious. I'm excited. My wife thinks it's ridiculous.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.